Where is the woman who fed you when you had nothing? Where is Choma? Is adultery now a marketing strategy?
If you can lie about your wife to impress strangers, what else will you lie about when money's on the table?
African karma stories.
The chandeliers in the Lagos hotel ballroom shimmered like captured stars. Soft jazz called through the air. Men in sharp suits and women in glittering dresses glided from table to table, glasses of champagne catching the light. At the center of it all stood Ken. His suit was dark and expensive, his tie a thin strip of silk. On his arm hung Vanessa, her gold dress hugging her figure, a diamond choker sparkling at her throat. She laughed at something he whispered, tilting her head so that photographers could catch her best angle. "Mr. Adeyemi," Ken said proudly as he approached a distinguished-looking man near the stage, "Meet my wife, Vanessa." Vanessa extended a manicured hand. "It's an honor, sir," she purred. Mr. Adeyemi, the foreign investor everyone wanted to impress, smiled politely. "You married well," he said. "You look like a true power couple." Ken's chest swelled. Across the room, near the back, an older woman in a simple Ankara wrapper clutched her small handbag to her chest. Mama Ken. She had traveled from the outskirts to see how God has lifted her son. She'd entered quietly, not wanting to disturb the fancy people. But when she heard him introduce the glittering woman as his wife, something inside her cracked. Her eyes searched the room for a familiar face, round cheeks, kind eyes, the woman who had once sold food by the roadside so her son could finish school. Choma. She was nowhere to be seen. Ken clinked his glass against Vanessa's. "Ladies and gentlemen," he called, stepping toward the microphone, "I just want to say a few words." He didn't finish. Mama Ken moved in a straight line through the crowd, each step fueled by equal parts pain and righteous fire. Guests parted instinctively, surprised by the force of this small woman. She reached her son, grabbed Vanessa's hand and tore it away from his arm. Before Ken could react, her palm whipped across his cheek with the sound of a gunshot. The entire room went silent. Phones flew up, recording. Ken's head snapped to the side. His glass slipped from his hand, crashing to the floor. Red wine splashed across his polished shoes like spilled blood. "Mama," he gasped, eyes wide, already filling with tears. She stared at him, chest heaving, voice shaking with fury. "This is the wife you are proud of," she demanded, pointing at Vanessa. "Where is the woman who fed you when you had nothing? Where is Choma?" The question hung in the air like a blade. The faces around them blurred into a sea of shock. Ken's heart pounded. And in that instant, all the memories he had tried to bury began to rise. Months earlier, in a completely different world, the apartment smelled of fried plantain and hope. The place was small but spotless, faded curtains, second-hand couch, but everything arranged with care. A framed wedding photo sat proudly on the TV stand, Ken in a simple suit, Choma in an affordable white gown, both grinning like children. In the bedroom, Choma ironed Ken's shirt for work. Her wrapper was old but clean, hair tied up in a simple scarf. She hummed quietly, steam rising from the iron. "Careful with the collar," Ken called from the bathroom. "The people in my office notice these things." She smiled. "Don't worry," she replied. "Your shirt will stand like governor's own." He stepped out adjusting his watch, cologne already thick in the air. Choma approached with the neatly pressed shirt. "Here," she said, smoothing it gently. "I packed your lunch too. Rice and stew, small plantain. You like it that way?" He frowned slightly at the plastic food flask on the table. He muttered. "Sometimes it's better not to bring food from home." She blinked. "Since when?" she asked. "You've always taken. It saves money." He shifted. "The other managers, they usually eat at the restaurant downstairs," he said. "If I come with this kind of container, they will tease me. They already call me village boy. I'm trying to change their mind." Choma's smile faltered. "I see," she said softly. "But food is still food, no matter where it comes from." He shrugged, avoiding her eyes. Maybe once in a while, he said. Today, I'll manage it. But try to upgrade the container. Something more modern. She nodded slowly. Okay, she replied. I'll see what we can afford. As he buttoned his shirt, he caught sight of her dress, a faded floral gown she had worn 100 times. You're going to market like that? He asked. She looked down. Yes, she said. It's comfortable. Why? He hesitated. Nothing, he muttered. Just, people see you and say, so this is Ken's wife. You know I'm a manager now. Appearances matter. She forced a small laugh. When money comes, I'll change my wardrobe, she said. For now, let people see where you came from. He smiled weakly, but his eyes held a different thought. He didn't want people to see where he came from. He wanted them to forget. Weeks later, Ken sat at his desk in the open plan office, tapping nervously on his keyboard. The glass walls around the conference room reflected the mid-morning light. Inside, the regional director and a few senior managers discussed something animatedly. Then the director stepped out. Ken, he called. Ken jumped up. Yes, sir. Come to my office, the man said, smiling. Bring your notepad. Ken's heart thudded as he followed. Minutes later, he emerged, a grin splitting his face. Vanessa, his colleague, spun around in her swivel chair. What happened? She asked. He raised his hands in victory. They're making me project lead on the Adiemi account, he exclaimed. If I deliver, it could mean promotion, serious promotion. Applause broke out across the room. A few coworkers slapped his back. Vanessa stood, arms open. I knew it, she said. My Mr. Big Man in the making. She hugged him tightly, her perfume wrapping around him like fog. Later, in the break room, she leaned against the counter, watching him with interest. You know this investor likes class, she said. They said he's bringing his own wife to the gala. They always judge how stable you are by the woman you bring to these events. Ken laughed nervously. Is that written in the contract? He joked. She smiled slowly. Not on paper, she replied. But in their minds, yes. Her words lodged somewhere deep inside him. One afternoon soon after, Choma appeared at Ken's office building carrying a food flask wrapped in a clean cloth. The glass towers loomed above her, intimidating. Men in suits and women in high heels swept past, barely noticing her. She straightened her shoulders. Ken is my husband, she told herself. Nothing to be ashamed of. At the reception, she smiled politely. I'm here to see Mr. Ken Okofor, she said. He works in the marketing department. The receptionist eyed her outfit, a plain gown and cheap sandals. Do you have appointment? She asked coolly. Choma's smile faltered. No, but I'm his wife, she replied. I brought his lunch. He forgot it. The receptionist's tone softened a little. Okay, Ma, she said. Wait here. She dialed Ken's extension. Sir, your wife is here with food, the receptionist murmured. Silence. Then, tell her I'm in a meeting. I'll come down. Minutes later, Ken emerged from the elevator, looking tense. Choma, what are you doing here? He hissed quietly, glancing around. She brightened. You forgot your lunch, she said, lifting the flask. And your favorite spoon. I told you I can buy food downstairs now, he snapped softly. You didn't have to come all the way. She blinked. I just wanted to, her voice faded. He sighed, taking the flask from her and keeping his body turned so that coworkers wouldn't see clearly. If you needed something, you could have called, he said. Next time, please don't just appear. People here are different. From behind the glass wall, Vanessa walked past with some colleagues. She spotted them and slowed, curiosity lighting her eyes. Ken pretended not to see her. I'll get you a ride back, he muttered. I'm busy. Choma's chest tightened. Ken, she asked quietly, are you ashamed of me? He forced a laugh. Don't be dramatic, he said. This is office, not compound meeting. I have to manage impressions. Before she could respond, he was already turning away. As she walked back outside, the elevator door slid open behind her. She didn't see Vanessa lean toward a coworker, whispering, "So that's the famous wife. Our manager deserves a better brand ambassador." Laughter followed them down the hall. Years earlier, under a different sky, Choma's world had been noisy with student chatter and the clatter of aluminum trays. She stood under a mango tree on campus, a cooler of jollof rice in front of her, sweat shining on her forehead. The air smelled of fried chicken, dust, and possibility. Hot rice. Hot rice with plantain, she called. If you fail exam, it won't be my food that caused it. Students laughed as they lined up. Ken, then a lanky boy with tired eyes and a faded backpack, joined the queue, patting his pockets. "Choma," he said sheepishly when it was his turn, "can I owe you small? My uncle promised to send money this week." She frowned playfully. "You still owe me from last week," she reminded him. "If I allow you again, my cooler will be empty and my pocket too." He sighed. "I'll pay you back," he insisted. "One day, you call me big man and I'll buy this whole cooler from you." She studied his face, the hunger, the sincerity. "You and your promises," she teased. "All right. Half plate. No chicken." He grinned. "I knew you loved me," he joked. She rolled her eyes, but there was affection there. As he ate, she sat beside him on the low wall. "So how was exam?" she asked. He groaned. "Hard," he admitted. "If I don't finish this ACCA, I'm finished." She nudged him. "You won't fail," she said firmly. "I didn't leave my village to come here and sell rice to a failure." He chuckled. "You and my mother," he said. "Both of you believe in me more than I do." "Well, believe," she replied. "Because when you start signing big contracts, they will not ask who scored A in exam. They will ask who stood when others Saturday." She didn't know then that one day, he would stand in a ballroom full of contracts. She also didn't know that the same man she encouraged would later pretend he didn't know her in a similar room. Later, in a cramped off-campus room, Choma counted crumpled notes on the floor. The bulb overhead flickered. Ken paced, biting his nails. "Registration deadline is tomorrow," he said anxiously. "If I don't pay for this final exam, all the previous ones are wasted." Choma spread the notes. "This is everything I have," she said. "From jollof, from puff-puff, from braiding those girls' hair last weekend." He crouched. "It's not enough," he groaned. She opened a small tin box and took out a carefully folded paper. "What is that?" he asked. She inhaled. "Admission letter," she replied. "Hairdressing course in Ghana. They offered me partial scholarship. I was going to travel after your exam." His eyes widened. "You never told me," he said. She shrugged. "It was small dream," she replied. "But you are close to finishing ACCA. If you pass, your certificate will open bigger doors than my scissors. We can't pay for both." She placed the letter into the tin, then pushed the tin toward him. "Take it," she said. "Use the money I saved for transport. Register. Pass. Then later, when we are stable, I can still learn here anytime. But this chance for you may not come again." He stared at her, throat tight. "Choma, I can't, you can," she insisted. "I am betting on us. On our future." He swallowed. "I will never forget this," he vowed. "I swear. When I make it, you will never lack anything." She smiled faintly. "Just don't forget who cooked for you when your wallet was empty," she said. He laughed. "I couldn't forget if I tried," he replied. "Promises are easy when pockets are empty. Harder to keep when they are full." A few years later, the small church was filled with singing. Plastic flowers decorated the altar, a borrowed white cloth covered the table. The pastor's robe was slightly stained at the hem, but his smile was bright. Choma walked down the aisle in a simple gown a friend had sewn at a discount. The lace was not imported, the veil was short, but the joy in her eyes made everything glow. Ken waited at the front in a cheap suit bought from the market, heart pounding. As she reached him, Mama Ken wiped tears with the edge of her wrapper. "When I used to sell peppers by the roadside," she whispered to a neighbor, "I prayed God would send my son a woman with sense and patience. See what he gave me." After the vows, as they stepped outside to take photos, the sky threatened rain but held back. Under a mango tree, Mama pulled Choma aside. "Daughter," she said, placing her rough hands on Choma's cheeks, "you have done more for my son than some people do for husband after 20 years. I know your sacrifices. God knows too. May your tears today only be tears of joy." Choma nodded, eyes wet. "Amen, Mama," she whispered. Ken joined them, wrapping an arm around both women. "One day," he declared confidently, "I will give you both big houses. We will laugh about this small wedding and say, look where we started from." They laughed together. If someone had told Choma that, years later, his shame of that very beginning would cut deeper than any insult, she would never have believed it. Success came slowly at first, then all at once. Ken's new job paid well. Then the promotion came. Then the bonuses. They moved from the tiny room near campus to a modest one-bedroom flat. Choma painted the walls herself, chose curtains with bright patterns, arranged second-hand furniture like puzzle pieces. Ken bought a car, nothing fancy, but new. He took photos leaning against it, posting them online with captions like "Hustle Pays." Gradually, the apartment began to fill with small luxuries, a bigger TV, a rug, a microwave. Choma smiled each time something new arrived, proud of how far they had come. But she also noticed changes in Ken. He spent more time scrolling through Instagram, following men in sharp suits taking pictures in hotels she had never entered. "See this guy," he said one evening, showing her his phone. "He's only 32 and already driving Range Rover, always with fine babe by his side. This is the level I'm aiming for." Choma laughed. "Would the Range Rover also fry your eggs?" she teased. He forced a chuckle. "You don't get it," he said. "Image matters. Nobody respects a manager who looks like he came from mechanic workshop." She looked at him carefully. "Ken," she asked, "are you ashamed of where you came from?" He hesitated. "I'm just tired of people seeing me as local boy," he admitted. "I want them to see me as someone who belongs in those boardrooms." She touched his arm. "You do belong," she said. "Not because of car or watch, but because of your brain and your work. The ones who laugh at your background are just afraid you'll pass them." He smiled faintly. "Maybe," he said. But already, the seed of shame had taken root. And another seed was about to be planted by someone who saw that weakness as an opportunity. In the sleek office cafeteria, Ken stood in line for coffee when a voice behind him sang, "Mr. Ken, our star project leader." He turned. Vanessa stood there, tray in hand, makeup flawless, hair in tight waves that cascaded over her shoulders. Her corporate dress hugged her figure in all the right places. He grinned. "Vanessa, good afternoon," he greeted. "You mean, Vanessa, good afternoon more," she joked, flipping her hair. "After all, I'm the one who always brings the best ideas to your presentations." He chuckled. "You and your mouth," he said. "One day, it will get you in trouble." "Or it will get me promoted," she replied, eyes sparkling. They took a table together. "I heard about the Adeyemi account," she said. "Congratulations." "Thank you," he said. "A lot is riding on it." She leaned forward. "Then you must think of everything," she advised. "Not just numbers. Perception. That investor likes young leaders who look like they belong in international magazines." He frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" he asked. She gestured toward his slightly worn tie. "Step up the wardrobe," she said. "New suits, better grooming." And she hesitated, then smiled mischievously. "Also your accompaniment." "My what?" he laughed. Your woman, she said plainly. Don't look shocked. These things matter. When big men come with their wives, they don't want to sit beside someone who looks like she just closed from petty trading. They want someone who reflects their lifestyle. His jaw tightened. My wife is fine, he said defensively. She supported me when, I'm not saying she's not good, Vanessa interrupted quickly. She's probably lovely. But this is business. Sometimes you must separate personal from professional. She placed a hand lightly on his arm. You have the potential to go far, she whispered. Don't let anything drag down your image. Her touch lingered. A dangerous thought slipped quietly into his mind, maybe she's right. He didn't pull his arm away. That night, Choma sat on the sofa with a notepad on her lap, watching a YouTube video titled Business Dinner Etiquette 101. On the screen, a woman in a smart dress demonstrated how to hold cutlery and which glass to use for what. Choma mimicked her movements with invisible forks, furrowing her brow in concentration. Ken walked in, loosening his tie. What are you watching? He asked, dropping his laptop bag. She smiled. Training, she said. In case I get chance to follow you to one of your office dinners. I don't want to disgrace you by using wrong fork. He laughed, but there was an edge to it. You, he teased. Before the soup comes, you'll finish analyzing the plate. She laughed along, though her cheeks warmed. I'm serious, she said. I can learn. He kissed her forehead briefly. We'll see, he replied. He went to the bedroom, scrolling through his phone. Vanessa had posted a picture from a charity gala, red carpet, designer gown, caption, where you sit determines what you see. Thousands of likes. Choma, still on the couch, practiced holding an imaginary wine glass. Don't worry, she whispered to herself. One day, I'll stand beside him in those pictures. They'll see we rose together. She had faith. He had divided loyalties. A week later, Ken sat at the small dining table, typing on his laptop. Choma placed a bowl of okra soup in front of him and sat opposite with her own plate. I heard Mr. Adeyemi is coming to town soon, she said casually. Will there be a big event? Ken's fingers paused over the keyboard. Yes, he replied. Company is organizing a gala next month. All senior staff and their partners. Her eyes lit up. Partners, she repeated. As in, spouses. He hesitated. Not only, he said. Sometimes girlfriends, sometimes business associates. It's flexible. She took a deep breath. I want to go, she said. He looked up, startled. Go where? He asked, though he knew. To the gala, she said. I've been practicing. I can rent a simple gown, tie my hair nicely. I want to stand by you when they call your name. When you get that project, I want to be there clapping. His jaw tightened. Choma, he began carefully, these events are very sophisticated. The food is strange, the language is coded. You might feel out of place. I won't, she said quickly. I may not know everything, but I can learn. And if I embarrass myself, I'll laugh and keep going. People respect honesty. He sighed. It's not about honesty, he replied. It's about perception. Clients look at our wives and judge if we are refined enough to handle their brand. She flinched. So I'm not refined, she asked softly. I didn't say that, he protested. I'm just. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Those women will be talking about holidays abroad, designer bags. You'll be talking about market prices. It will be awkward. Silence fell. She stared at her soup. Are you protecting me from discomfort, she asked quietly, or protecting yourself from embarrassment? He clenched his jaw. Don't twist my words, he snapped. This gala is important. I can't be babysitting you and networking at the same time. Her eyes shimmered. I didn't know I needed babysitting, she whispered. He pushed his chair back. Please, let's not fight, he said. We'll go somewhere nice later. Just the two of us. But this event, let me handle it alone. She nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in her throat. Okay, she said. That night, when he fell asleep, she lay awake beside him, staring at the ceiling. How did the man who once ate from my plastic cooler start worrying about my cutlery, she wondered. At the busy market, tomatoes piled high like red mountains. The smell of smoked fish and peeling oranges hung in the air. Mama Ken sat behind her stall, arranging peppers, when Ken squeezed through the crowd to reach her. Mama, he called, smiling. She beamed. My son, she exclaimed. See fine shirt. Money is touching you. He laughed, hugging her. How is business? He asked. We thank God, she replied. Some days good, some days I borrow God's small money from tomorrow. They both chuckled. As she scooped ground pepper into a customer's bag, she glanced at him. Choma did not come with you, she asked. I haven't seen her in weeks. You people have forgotten your mother. He shifted. She's busy, Mama, he said. Helping with things at home. Mama nodded, wiping her hands on her wrapper. I heard from one customer that your company is doing big parties now, she said. She showed me picture of you in suit on Facebook. Why doesn't Choma follow you sometimes? She works too hard, let her enjoy. Ken forced a smile. She doesn't like that kind of thing, he lied. Crowds make her uncomfortable. She always says, Mommy, let Ken go and shine his shine. I'll be here praying. Mama frowned. That doesn't sound like Choma I know, she said. That girl loves dancing more than food. He laughed nervously. People change, he said quickly. Anyway, these parties are boring. Just speeches and small food. Mama studied his face. Ken, she said softly, don't let this new life carry you away from old sense. The woman who stood by you when you were eating curry deserves to stand by you when you are eating fried rice. He looked away. Yes, Mama, he murmured. Her words settled on him like a gentle weight. But there was another voice in his head now, the voice of Vanessa, louder, shinier, more flattering. One Friday evening, after a long week, the office crowd headed to a trendy lounge. Dim lights, loud music, cocktails with names Ken couldn't pronounce. He sat in a leather booth with some coworkers. Vanessa slid in beside him, her perfume sweet and sharp. To promotions and big contracts, she toasted, raising her glass. They clinked. As the night wore on and drinks flowed, the group thinned. One coworker left to catch last bus, another received a call from his wife. Eventually, only Ken and Vanessa remained in the booth. She laughed at one of his jokes, leaning closer, her hand resting lightly on his knee. You know, she said, I don't understand why a man like you is hiding behind small life. He blinked. What do you mean? He asked. You think I don't know you're from humble background, she said. But look at you now, smart, ambitious, leading major account. You should be in penthouse, not in one bedroom. You should be with a woman who can stand beside you in those ballrooms, not one who belongs in Mama Igbo pepper soup shack. He stiffened. Choma is not, I'm sure she's nice, Vanessa interrupted smoothly. But nice doesn't land international deals. Image does. Connections do. If you had a partner who already moves in those circles, half your battles would be won. She took his hand, playing with his fingers. Imagine walking into the Adiemi gala with me on your arm, she purred. People would talk. They would see you differently. They would wonder, who is this new power couple? Her words intoxicated him more than the whiskey. He pictured the scene, cameras, lights, important people nodding approvingly. Then he pictured Choma in her homemade dress, struggling with cutlery, nervous. The contrast embarrassed him. You're thinking about it, Vanessa said, catching the flicker in his eyes. He swallowed. I'm married, he said weakly. She shrugged. In this city, rings are just accessories, she replied. What matters is who matches your destiny. She leaned in and kissed him softly. For a moment, guilt screamed. Then pride whispered louder, you deserve this. He didn't push her away. The changes came like slow poison. Ken's phone suddenly had a password. He came home later, clothes smelling of perfume and hotel soap. He started showering as soon as he walked in, avoiding Choma's questions with tired smiles. One night, as rain pounded the window, the clock ticked past 11 p.m. Choma paced the living room, phone in hand. She dialed his number again. Network error, the automated voice replied. She sat, heart pounding. When he finally entered, keys jingling, she rushed to him. Ken. Where have you been? She cried. I've been calling. I was scared. He dropped his bag, avoiding her eyes. Office, he said curtly. Meeting ran late. She sniffed. I smell alcohol, she said softly. And perfume that is not mine. He rolled his eyes. Choma, please, he groaned. Clients took us out after presentation. It's normal. Don't start drama. Tears gathered. I just want to know what is happening, she whispered. You come home late, you hide your phone, you don't talk to me. Did I do something? He flopped onto the couch. You're suffocating me, he muttered. Not every change is about you. She knelt beside him. I'm not suffocating, she said. I'm scared. We promised to carry each other. If you are tired of me, tell me. Don't make me guess. He stared at the ceiling. I'm tired of this conversation, he said coldly. I have important things on my mind. Big men don't explain their every step. The words cut deep. She stood slowly. Then maybe, she said quietly, your success has already made you bigger than your promises. He glared. Don't insult me, he snapped. I'm doing all this for us. For our future. She walked into the bedroom, closing the door gently. On the other side, she leaned against it and slid down, sobbing into her hands. On his phone in the living room, a message popped up from Vanessa, don't let village stress spoil your mood. Big things ahead, babe. Remember the gala, we'll shut it down. At the Monday briefing, the office buzzed. The regional director stood at the front, hands clasped. Team, he announced, Mr. Adeyemi has confirmed. 2 weeks from now, we host him and his partners at the Grand Royal Hotel. This gala will determine who leads various arms of his investment portfolio in West Africa. All eyes were on Ken. You, the director said, pointing at him, are our main presenter. But remember, these people look beyond numbers. They look at stability, brand, lifestyle. They want to know their money is in polished hands. Vanessa shot Ken a smug smile. After the meeting, she sidled up to him. Well, Mr. Star, she said, time to choose your armor carefully. He laughed nervously. A good suit, he said, and good slides. That's all. She shook her head. And a good woman, she added. I already ordered a dress for that night. Gold. It will match your watch. He hesitated. Vanessa, don't Vanessa's me, she cut in. You know what you want? You want that project. You want that lifestyle. And you know deep down that going there with your jollof supplier will make you look like charity case, not colleague. He didn't correct her description of Choma. Inside, shame twisted with desire. He wanted the project. He wanted the applause. He told himself this was just business optics. He conveniently forgot that he had called another woman just for business optics years ago when he promised Choma that her sacrifices were temporary. The evening before the gala, Choma ironed Ken's best suit, hands moving with practiced familiarity. You will look like senator, she teased, trying to lighten his mood. Mr. Adeyemi will be confused, he'll think you own the company. Ken forced a smile. If everything goes well, I might as well own it, he said. She folded the matching tie neatly. So, she asked casually, what color should I wear? I don't want to clash with your suit in photos. He stiffened. Where? He repeated. Yes, she said. For the gala. I was thinking to borrow that long gown from my cousin, the blue one. With small jewelry. I practiced walking in heels, see. She demonstrated, wobbling slightly but determined. He set the suit down, rubbing his temples. Choma, he began, we already talked about this. She stopped. Talked about what? She asked. About you not coming, he said. This event is high level. Executives, diplomats, foreign investors. It's not our type of place. Her throat went dry. You mean, not my type of place, she said quietly. He sighed. Don't start, he muttered. You'll feel out of place. People will ask you about business schools, travel, stocks. You'll talk about market and church women. They'll look at me and wonder if I'm serious. She stared at him, heart splitting. So I'm now your embarrassment, she whispered. I didn't say that, he snapped. Why do you twist everything? I'm under pressure, Choma. Can't you just support me quietly for once? Her eyes filled. What do you think I have been doing all these years? She asked. When I was frying plantain at 5 a.m. for your school fees, was that noise? When I gave up my own dreams so you could chase yours, was that not support? He looked away. This conversation is going nowhere, he said. Please, don't come tomorrow. I don't want distraction. I'll be back late. Lock the door. She stood very still. So you'll go with who? She whispered. Vanessa. His silence answered. A tear rolled down her cheek. May God have mercy on you, she said softly. Because if my own anger falls on you, it will be too small compared to what you are sowing. He grabbed his keys. You're overreacting, he muttered, and walked out. The door closed. Choma sank onto the bed, clutching the blue dress she had hoped to wear. For the first time, she allowed herself to ask a question she'd avoided for years. If this man met me now, the way I am, would he still choose me? 2 days before the gala, Ken called his mother, voice bright. Mama, guess what? He said. Your son is moving up. There's a big event this weekend. Investor from abroad. They are considering me for a huge project. Mama laughed with pure joy. Oh. My God is alive, she exclaimed. From washing plates in school cafeteria to eating with big men. I must see this with my eyes. He hesitated. It's just office thing, he said. Lots of English, small food. You might be bored. She clicked her tongue. Will I be bored watching God answer my prayers? She demanded. Don't worry about me. I still remember how to sit quietly. I would just stand at the back and smile. He chuckled weakly. Okay, Mama, he said. If you insist. I insist, she replied. Send me address. I will wear my best wrapper. I want them to know the mother who raised such manager. After the call, Ken sat for a long time, phone in hand. He hadn't meant for his words to collide like this, his rural past and his Polish present. But fate had just RSVP'd for his mother. And fate rarely asks if you are ready. The night of the gala, the Grand Royal Hotel glowed like a jewel against the Lagos skyline. Spotlights swept across the entrance. Valets opened car doors. Photographers snapped shots of arriving guests. A black sedan rolled up. Ken stepped out fast, suit tailored to perfection, watch glinting. Vanessa followed, dress of shimmering gold hugging her calves, high slit revealing toned legs. Her lipstick flashed red under the lights. They paused at the backdrop displaying company and investor logos. Cameras clicked. Over here, sir. Smile, madam. Ken placed his arm around Vanessa's waist. Mr. Ken, who is this beautiful lady? A journalist asked playfully. He hesitated for a fraction of a second. Then pride overtook conscience. My wife, he said smoothly. Vanessa. She smiled wide. Inside, the ballroom was a sea of crystal glasses and polished shoes. Mr. Adeyemi approached them with the regional director. Oh, Ken, he said warmly. And this must be your better half. Yes, sir, Ken replied. She supports me in everything. Adeyemi shook Vanessa's hand. You chose well, he commented. A man is known by the company he keeps, especially the woman beside him. Ken's ego swelled. Vanessa beamed, tightening her grip on his arm. As laughter and music filled the space, no one noticed an older woman slip quietly into the doorway, clutching the invitation printout in shaking hands. Mama Ken. Her eyes scanned the glittering crowd until they landed on her son. Her heart swelled with pride until she saw the woman on his arm. And heard the word he used. Wife. Back at the modest apartment, Choma sat alone on the edge of the bed, phone in hand. She had tried to busy herself, washing plates, folding clothes, praying. But every tick of the clock pulled her thoughts back to the hotel. At last, she opened social media. The company's official page was already posting live updates. Photo after photo of the ballroom, lights, champagne, CEO speeches. Then one image froze her heart. Ken, in a suit. Vanessa, in gold dress. The caption read, Our star project leader, Ken, and his beautiful wife at tonight's gala. For a moment, the world blurred. Her chest constricted. She zoomed in. His hand was around Vanessa's waist, smile wide, eyes shining with the exact pride he used to have when he looked at Choma. Her own reflection stared back at her from the dark phone screen, worn dress, puffy eyes, no makeup. Tears spilled silently. So that's how it is, she whispered. The wife you present to the world is not the woman who stood with you in secret. She closed the app, hands shaking. She didn't know then that someone else had also seen that photo, and had decided this night would not end quietly. In the ballroom, Mama Ken stood near the entrance, feeling out of place among sequins and suits. Her Ankara wrapper was bright but plain, her head neatly tied. She clutched her handbag with both hands, eyes wide as she took in the chandeliers, the marble floor, the waiters gliding with trays. She searched for her son. Then she saw him. He laughed near the stage with other managers, Vanessa still attached to his arm like jewelry. They looked like they belonged on the glossy magazine covers she saw in salon waiting rooms. Momo's heart swelled with a strange mix of pride and disorientation. My son, she thought, from gutter water to sparkling wine. She moved closer, weaving through the crowd. As she approached, she heard snippets of conversation. So, Vanessa, where did you and Ken meet? Someone asked. At a conference in Dubai, Vanessa lied smoothly. We connected instantly. I loved his vision. And you married when? Another asked. 2 years ago, she replied without a blink. Small destination wedding. Just close friends. Laughter. Mama froze. 2 years ago, she had danced at Choma and Ken's church wedding, sweat pouring down her face as she blessed them over cheap rice. Her fingers dug into her handbag. She listened further. One older executive said, Ken, you chose well. Some of these young men marry village girls who can't stand in rooms like this. You, at least, understand that your image matters. Ken chuckled awkwardly, but didn't correct him. Something inside Mama snapped. She stepped back, heart pounding, anger rising like a tide. This was beyond office politics. This was betrayal. She waited until Ken headed toward the restroom, Vanessa momentarily distracted by a group of quackers. Catching him alone in the corridor, she grabbed his wrist. Ken, she hissed, dragging him into a quieter corner. What is this I'm seeing? He startled. Mama, he whispered urgently. What are you doing here? I told you I was coming, she shot back. Or did you think I was joking? Answer me, who is that woman? He glanced around nervously. Lower your voice, he begged. People will hear. Let them hear, she retorted. Maybe shame will fix what sense has failed to fix. Where is Choma? He swallowed. At home, he muttered. Mama, please. Not here. She stared, disbelief morphing into fury. So you left your wife at home, she said slowly, and brought another woman to stand in her place before your bosses and this investor. You introduced her as your wife? It's not like that, he protested weakly. It's just for tonight. These events, they expect a certain image. Choma would feel out of place. Vanessa understands this word. It's strategy. Mama's eyes flashed. Strategy, she repeated. Is adultery now a marketing strategy? He winced. Mama, please, he whispered desperately. If you shout, they will think I come from uncivilized family. She leaned in, voice low but deadly. I would gladly be called uncivilized, she said, if civilization means clapping while my son throws away a woman who carried him when I could not. Do you think Choma looked civilized when she sold food under sun so you could wear second-hand tie to exam? Yet you were not ashamed to eat that food. He looked away, guilt rising like fire. Mama, I'll fix it later, he said. Just go home. I'll talk to Choma, I'll end things with Vanessa. But tonight, please, don't disgrace me. This investor can change my life. Her lips pressed into a thin line. You are worried about your life, she said quietly, but not your soul. She straightened. I came here hoping to clap for you, she told him. Instead, I think God brought me here to clap sense back into your head. He reached for her arm. Mama, I'm begging, she pulled free. Beg God, she said. Because if I leave here without speaking, my spirit will not rest. She turned and walked back toward the ballroom, her steps firm. Ken stood frozen, dread crawling up his spine. For the first time that night, the glittering room felt like a courtroom. And his mother was about to read the verdict. The band had just started a lively high-life tune when Ken returned to the main hall, heart pounding. Vanessa linked her arm with his again. Where did you disappear to? She asked. You know you can't leave your trophy alone for long. He forced a smile, mind racing. Mr. Adeyemi tapped a spoon against his glass. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, I'd like to hear from the man of the hour, our promising young manager, Ken. Come and say a few words. Applause rippled. Ken swallowed hard and walked toward the small stage with Vanessa gliding beside him. He took the microphone, wiping sudden sweat from his brow. Good evening, everyone, he began. He didn't get further. A firm hand gripped Vanessa's arm, yanking her aside. Gasps erupted as Mama Ken stepped into the circle of light, standing directly in front of her son. Ken's blood ran cold. Mama, he whispered. Her eyes blazed. Before words could leave her mouth, her hand flew. The slap landed with a thunderous crack, echoing off the crystal chandeliers. Ken stumbled, hand flying to his cheek. The band stopped mid-note. Conversation died. Phones shot up in every direction, recording. Vanessa stared, stunned. Mama pointed a trembling finger at her son. Is this what money has turned you into? She demanded, voice carrying to every corner of the room. A man who is ashamed of the woman who carried him through hunger, but proud to show off the one who only arrived after dessert. Ken's vision blurred with tears. Mama, please, he begged. Not here, she ignored him, turning slowly to face the crowd. All of you clapping for this power couple, she said bitterly, gesturing to Ken and Vanessa. Do you know that somewhere in a small room, the real wife of this man is sitting alone, thinking her husband is at work? A murmur of shock spread. Vanessa recovered enough to step forward angrily. Excuse me, Ma, she snapped. You can't come and embarrass us like this. This is a professional event. Mama swung her gaze to her. You, keep quiet, she said sharply. Were you there when my son used to line up with plastic plate for Choma's food? Were you there when she pawned her only jewelry so he could sit for one exam? You are enjoying finished rice and calling yourself cook. Laughter and gasps mixed uneasily among the guests. Mr. Adeyemi watched, expression unreadable. Ken wished the ground would open and swallow him. But the night had orders. It would swallow something else first. His pride. Mama took a deep breath, voice shaking with emotion but steady in conviction. When Ken was at university, she began, I could not send him money all the time. My store was small, My back was tired. Many nights, I cried to God, asking how my son would survive. She pointed toward the door, as if gesturing to the world outside. Then God sent Choma, she continued. A girl from a village poorer than ours. She sold rice under hot sun, yet still found change to feed a boy who was not her brother. When others laughed at his cheap shoes, she cleaned them with her own hands. The room grew quiet, captivated. She had chance to go abroad for training, Mama went on, but she gave up that dream so he could finish his professional exams. She chose his future over her own. When he said, "Marry me," she didn't ask how big the ring was. She married his potential, not his pocket. She turned back to Ken. "Is that the woman you are hiding tonight?" she demanded. "The one you called too local to stand beside you? The one you left at home while you called this one wife before cameras?" Ken's shoulders sagged. Tears rolled down his cheeks silently. "Mama, he started. "Save it," she cut in. "I'm talking to them now." She faced the guest again. "You sit here in your fine clothes, judging people by how they hold glass," she said. "But tell me, how many of you could still stand if God removed every person who believed in you when you were nothing? That is what my son is trying to do tonight, erase his roots." Some guests shifted uncomfortably. Others filmed more intently. Momo's voice softened slightly, tinged with heartbreak. "When I saw that picture on Facebook," she said, nodding toward Vanessa, "I almost didn't recognize my own child. Not because of his suit, but because of the lie in his eyes. He looked happy standing with another woman while the one who cooked for him stayed invisible." She faced Vanessa again. "My daughter," she said, "I don't know you. You may be a nice person. But you are standing in a place that is not yours. You are eating fruits from a tree you did not water. If you are wise, you will step aside before thunder meets you here." Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Mommy, with all due respect, this is between you and your son," she snapped. "Leave me out of it." Mama shook her head. "Any woman who helps a man dishonor his wife is part of the problem," she said. "You cannot deceive yourself that you are innocent. But tonight is not about you. It is about the boy I raised, and the man he is choosing to become." She looked at Ken one last time. "I would rather you lose this contract," she said quietly, "than lose your soul. If this is the price for reminding you who you are, I will pay it with joy." The room held its breath. Everyone waited to see what the man who held the checkbooks would say. Mr. Adeyemi stepped forward slowly, hands clasped behind his back. He studied Ken for a long, uncomfortable moment. "Mr. Ken," he said finally, "is what your mother says true?" Ken's throat tightened. He glanced at Vanessa, at the director, at the phones pointed at him, then at his mother's tear-filled eyes. "Yes, sir," he whispered. "It's true. I left my wife at home." "You introduced this lady as your wife?" Adeyemi pressed. Ken nodded, shame weighing his head down. "I did," he admitted. "I'm sorry." A mama swept the room. Adeyemi sighed. "Do you know why I'm successful?" he asked the crowd calmly. "It is not just numbers. It is trust. People trust that I will do business today the same way I did it when I had nothing. If I am ashamed of my beginnings, I cannot be faithful to my future." He turned fully to Ken. "You told me your story in our first meeting," he reminded him. "You said you grew up in a one-room house, your mother sold peppers, your wife helped you through school. I admired that honesty. I saw character I could invest in." Ken swallowed hard. "Tonight," Adeyemi continued, "you showed me another side, the side that is willing to trade truth for image. If you can lie about your wife to impress strangers, what else will you lie about when money is on the table?" Silence. Vanessa stepped slightly away from Ken, sensing the shift. Adeyemi looked at the director. "I cannot, in good conscience, hand my biggest project to a man who is ashamed of the very people who made him who he is," he said. "I value competence, but I value integrity more." He faced the room. "For this contract," he announced, "I will be considering someone else, perhaps Mr. Bola from operations, who invited his real wife tonight, even though she came straight from teaching in public school with chalk on her dress. A ripple of surprise went through the crowd as a modest-looking man in the corner flushed bright red. Adeyemi nodded at him. "Congratulations in advance," he said. He turned back to Ken. "As for you, young man," he said, "go home. Not to cry about losing a project, but to decide whether you want to build a life on truth or on performance." With that, he walked away, speaking quietly to the director. The music resumed hesitantly. Vanessa yanked her arm from Ken's grip. "Are you mad?" she hissed. "Do you know what you just cost me? I told my friends I'd be dating a regional manager by next quarter." He stared at her, dazed. "Vanessa, don't call me," she snapped. "You couldn't even manage one party without your village mother spoiling everything. You're not a big man. You're a mama's boy with borrowed suit." She snatched her clutch and stormed out, heels clacking. Ken stood alone in the middle of the ballroom, cheeks still stinging from the slap, eyes burning with humiliation and grief. Around him, the glitter felt cheap. The only thing that seemed real was the older woman in Ankara watching him with a mixture of anger and aching love. The next morning, the apartment door creaked open slowly. Choma sat at the small table sipping tea, phone lying face down beside her. She had seen the videos, the comments, the headlines. Mother slaps son at gala for cheating on wife, investor praises village wife, rejects fake power couple. Ken stepped in, eyes swollen from a night of no sleep. His suit was wrinkled, tie loose, pride in tatters. "Choma," he began, voice hoarse. She looked up, gaze steady, no surprise on her face. "So," she said quietly, "the gala was not so boring after all." He winced. "Mama told you?" he asked. "I didn't need Mama," she replied. "The whole internet told me. I saw you. I saw her. I saw your mother's hand. I wish I had been the one to slap sense into you first." He dropped to his knees in front of her, tears spilling. "I'm sorry," he choked. "I'm so sorry. I let pride, and foolishness, and that woman, her name is Vanessa," Choma said evenly. "Use it. Don't remove her from the story now." He nodded, sobbing. "Yes. Vanessa. I let her and my own shame about you, about where we came from, control me. I wanted to look like those men in magazines. I forgot I was already richer than them because I had you." She studied him. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why was my presence more frightening to you than your mother's slap?" He swallowed. "Because you remind me of everything I owe," he whispered. "Every plate of rice, every night you stayed up praying before my exam. When I looked at Vanessa, I saw someone who wanted my future, not my past. It felt easier." She blinked back tears. "Easier to pretend you built yourself alone," she said. "Like those men who tell story of success and forget to mention the woman who sold her wrappers." He nodded miserably. "I don't deserve you," he said. "But I'm begging you, don't throw me away." I ended things with her. I told my parents the truth. I will stand in front of anyone and admit what I did. Just give me a chance to earn back what I broke. Silence stretched. Mama Ken, who had quietly entered and now stood by the door, watched them with folded arms. "Choma," she said gently, "I brought this boy into the world, but you are the one who taught him how to eat without shame. You have every right to live. But whatever you decide for peace, not for people's comments." Choma looked from Ken's bowed head to Mama's lined face. "I spent years praying for this marriage," she said. "I will not throw that prayer in the dust lightly." She took a slow breath. "Ken," she continued, "I can forgive you. But forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. Trust is like that glass you dropped yesterday. God can help us glue it, but the cracks will remain for a long time." He nodded vigorously. "I'd accept any condition," he said. "Counseling, confession in church, moving out of this city, anything. I just want to be the man you married again, the one Mama was proud of." She leaned back, eyes searching his. "First," she said, "you will call the HR and your director. You will tell them the truth, that I am your legal wife and I was not there because you were ashamed. No more lies for image. Second, you will cut all ties with Vanessa and any other woman like her. Third, you will stand in front of our church and apologize, not just to me, but to every woman who has ever been hidden in the name of professionalism. He swallowed, but nodded. Done, he said. And finally, she added, voice firm, you will allow me to grow. I am not your charity project. I will go back to school, or open my own catering business, or whatever I choose. You will introduce me in every room as your wife, not your burden. Tears streamed down his face. Yes, he whispered. Yes to all. Mama sniffed, wiping her eyes. Good, she said. Because if you break this promise again, I won't slap you in public. I just kneel on the floor. And hand you back to God. What he does with you after that, I cannot say. They all laughed weakly through their tears. Ken reached for Choma's hand. Thank you, he murmured. For not giving up on a foolish man. She squeezed his fingers once. Don't thank me yet, she said. Show me. Months passed. Change, this time, came slowly, but in a different direction. We see Ken sitting beside Choma in a Sunday service, hand firmly in hers as he stands before the congregation. I was ashamed of the woman God used to build me, he confesses into the microphone. I lied to impress strangers and nearly lost my soul. If you are a man doing the same, stop before your own mother or life itself slaps you awake. Women nod. Some men look at the floor. Next, we see Ken at work, proudly introducing Choma to his colleagues during a family day event. This is my wife, Choma, he says with a real smile. The co-founder of my success. She laughs, shaking hands with people, more confident now. Vanessa appears briefly in a social media clip, promoting a new lifestyle brand with a different man, her eyes a little more tired, her smile a little more forced. Success is a strange mirror. It can show you who you really are, or it can make you forget. Ken forgot. He allowed new money to shame old love. He traded loyalty for likes, vows for validation. And like many before him, he thought nobody would see. Images flicker, they slap, the shocked faces, the spilled wine. But there is a God who loves the hidden, the voice continues. The wife who prays quietly in a small room. The mother who sells pepper to pay school fees. Sometimes, he uses them to shake the glittering rooms we fear too much. We see Mama Ken walking through the market, other women stopping her. Or, Mama Ken, that slap was legendary, one says, laughing. She smiles. I didn't slap him because I hated him, she replies. I slapped him because I love him. Better one hot palm now than a whole lifetime burning in regret. The narrator turns to the listener. If you are Choma in your own story, the voice says gently, know this, your worth is not determined by who is willing to post you online. God saw your sacrifices in the days of jollof and empty pockets. He will not waste them, even if people try. And if you are Ken, the voice continues, firm but kind, ask yourself, are you proud of the person who loved you before success? Or are you hiding them like a stain? Before life slaps you the way Mama Ken did, choose your side. What would you do if you were Choma? Would you forgive a husband who paraded another woman as his wife in public? If you were Ken's mother, would you confront him privately or shake the room like thunder? Tell us in the comments, I read everyone. Where are you watching from today? Lagos, Accra, Nairobi, Johannesburg, London, Toronto, New York, Dubai, or a small town nobody puts on the map? Type your city below so we can see how far this story has traveled. And if stories like this touched your heart, stories that remind us never to be ashamed of those who struggled with us, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who may be forgetting where they came from.